Welcome back to another episode of the RAG Report podcast, your daily bulletin show where I bring to you recruitment owners, suppliers, advisors to the global recruitment industry that are prepared to give up some of their time to give us ideas and advice to navigate through this difficult coronavirus period. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Sid Barnes. Sid is a NED and advisor to 18 recruitment agencies, spent 23 years in professional staffing organizations and notably ran a hell of a lot for the Adecco Group. Sid helps businesses now scale out and deal with growth, and like some of the other people we spoke to on the show so far, is in the thick of conversation day in, day out right now, dealing with these customers and also other people that are asking for advice. So we're really lucky to have some time with him. Sid, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's awesome. Sid, difficult times. We're kind of progressing now. We're a couple of weeks in, so it's slightly different level of conversation or stage of conversation than when I started this. But first question always remains the same. Just paint the picture for the listeners. What's your life like right now? What's going on?
Okay, so normally my life is traveling around the country, sometimes Europe, dealing with my clients. Obviously very, very face-to-face, sat in boardrooms, sat in meetings, planning for the future, basically putting the basic fundamentals in place to achieve growth. Okay, so where am I now? Been in potential, or shall I say semi-lockdown for the last 2 weeks in Hertfordshire, in sunny Bushy. So everything I'm doing now is online. So I'm still supporting my 18 clients on calls daily when I need to. So still as busy, but in a very, very different world and in a very, very different environment. No one saw this coming, really. It came out of left field. The global economy was strong. There was no sign of a recession. This is my fourth global recession, should we say. First one was 2001. Second one was the financial crisis of 2008, 2012, and then this one obviously will go down as one in 2020. But whereas the first three were economic, this one is medical. It's medical. So yes, we hear the word unprecedented, and at the moment I'm helping customers and colleagues get through unprecedented times as best we can. I think, we have to accept that this is where we're at. For the first 2 weeks, a week was a month and a day was a week. That's how quickly things were changing and how quickly, things were being impacted in terms of pipelines being turned off, in terms of government intervention, in terms of decisions being made at company level. But I think that's started to plateau now. This is the new, I've called it business as unusual. But this is the way things are going to be for me, I think worst case scenario, 9 months. So we're back in Jan. Best case scenario, 3 months. Mid case scenario, which I put my money on, is we're back and up to speed back in September. So trying to navigate the best way through that, helping clients with reforecasts, but just not just reforecasts. More importantly now is scenario planning.
Yeah.
So this isn't just about reforecasting for 2020. It's about scenario planning on a number of levels and seeing what your response would be in order to try and firstly survive 2020 and then thrive in 2021. That's what I've been up to.
Yeah, I like it. I get it. So take us back a couple of weeks. What was it like when it first hit for you? What was the phone conversations like at the very beginning?
So I think shock. I think shock. There's a lot of a lot of what my background is psychology and NLP. This isn't just about business. This is about mindset. This is about mental health. There's a lot of these are horrendous times for people on every level. This isn't just about something happens in your company. This is about something happening globally. This is bigger than recruitment. There are people dying, daily all over the world. So first of all, you've got that as a backdrop. First and foremost, we need to make sure that we're all alive and stay safe. That's against the backdrop of then what's the right thing to do in your business. So conversations around, how bad is this going to be? Basically questions that people in the first instance just could not answer. There were no answers. How quickly is it going to spread? Are we going to be on lockdown? How long do you think it will last? What decisions do we need to make right now within the business? Basically, the initial conversations are shock and panic. It's the typical fight or flight response, and the adrenaline's going. You don't know. You're in the thick of the action. You don't know what decisions you should be taking right now. Are they knee-jerk reactions? Are they too soon? Are they too slow reactions, which then come back and multiplied down the line? It was general confusion and mayhem, and it's about my role is trying to bring calm, and logic into play, because obviously I deal with leaders, and leaders will be remembered for how they act and behave now, but there's a lot of emotion involved, because a lot of these great leaders have spent many years building up their businesses, and all of a sudden, I know one client that's gone from 67 staff down to 7 within a period of 2 weeks. You've literally watched some of your amazing work disappear overnight, and that's not that's
they've been let go.
A combination of both. But there were clients that acted really quickly before the furlough option came into play. But it's been a mentally tough time for business leaders, because this isn't just about business. For them, it's their business, so it's their life, it's their livelihood, it's their life's work. So a difficult period, but it's to be expected. And I keep reminding people that we got through 2001.com. We got through 2008 financial crisis. We got through 2012, 2013, and we will get through 2020. Not everyone will get through 2020, unfortunately, but there's many things that we can do now to make sure that we are in a stronger position to get through 2020.
So I think from what I've seen, it feels like the first couple of weeks was all about, defense mode. How do we protect? Yeah. How do we get into a position where we make those decisions to go from 67 to 7 and talk to all our suppliers, and you're looking at all your costs and trying to minimize and protection. And then some are still in that, but a lot of the conversations I've had are clients coming out of that now and going, right, what's the attack? What's the offensive mode now? What ideas you got? How are you advising people there when they've got to a core that they can't really go any smaller?
Yeah.
What can they now start to think about, and what's important?
So it's, the typical response is as you've said, survival, and defense mode. And this is where the real difference comes into play. This is where, people who can sell, will win, and people who can't, unfortunately, will not. We are not accountants, okay? We're good at finance. We know what we need to do. So part one, rationalizing the cost base. But before that, the only way you rationalize the cost base is by, first of all, knowing how badly your sales or your GP or your fees is going to be affected. So you have to know your pipeline, you have to know your GP, you have to know your fees on a daily basis. So based on if your GP is going, some of my clients' GP isn't down at all yet. They do high-end international contract. Their GP is not down. Therefore, they don't have to be drastic in terms of the cost base. So what you do to the cost base is purely dependent on what is happening in your GP line, what is happening in the income line. So if you know your income line and you know your income line well, then yes, you have to cut costs accordingly.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where there are no costs left to cut. So part one is, yes, rationalize the cost base where you've literally got critical cost only, and you've got a team left that can at least be able to deliver the GP number that has to cover that cost base number. Because I think over the last 2 weeks, everyone's pretty much got their cost base down to the absolute minimum it can be.
Yeah.
The real difference now is, how good are you at selling? And I think sales is often seen as a dirty word, a black art, but this is what we do. We sell. You can call it value, you can call it service, you can call it what you want, but we are salespeople and we should be proud of being salespeople. And this is where those that can sell, those that know how to sell properly, and there aren't many that do, unfortunately, really can steal a march and survive as best they can.
Interestingly, I was on a LinkedIn Live webinar last week with Mark Gaisford and James Osborne and Mitch Sullivan, and me and Mitch had a bit of a disagreement on the LinkedIn. And look, I respect his opinion, but he said that he doesn't think that there's any sales in recruitment other than retained recruitment, and I didn't agree with that. I thought I can see his point, because at the end of the day, he said there's no money transferred. It's not a sale. It's you're just getting yourself into an opportunity. Whereas if I look back at my recruitment career, no one gave me roles. I had to go and get them. I had to go and prove that I was worthy of those roles. I had to then, so the sale might not have transpired in a cash transfer at the beginning, but that's contingent, right? You still have to get to the table. So one thing I think now is going to be really interesting to watch, and I'm building a process to try and support the industry on it, is what you said. You're getting clients that were 67 to 7. So the CEO of that business has gone from managing 60 odd people to being effectively a doer. They've got to be responsible for sales and marketing, right? So how do they flip, Sid? How do they change that, reframe their mind? Because they might not have done any marketing or sales for 5 years, and it definitely wasn't in the market that it is today. So they've got to not only change their day-to-day activities, they're doing it in the worst, most difficult conditions they could be. How do you get yourself ready for something like
that? I think you got to throw yourself straight into it. I think that, quite often, the best salespeople within the business is the leader. Yeah. A lot of the time, unfortunately, they get distracted, or, their time is taken up with, the strategy or, the day-to-day running of the operation. And a lot of them don't do what made them famous in the first place, right? These people were huge billers, right? They set up on their own, and when they started, they were great billers. And I think that regardless of whether as a leader, you're not obviously going to be filling placements, right? But your job should be business development constantly. Okay. You might not be filling the roles, but you're the figurehead of the organization. So you are still generating business, but you're generating it in a different way to what you used to. But I teach my leaders to treat every single billing client as their personal customer, because they are your business. Your business is categorized by how many clients have you billed in the last 12 months and how much did you bill with each one of them. That's it. That is purely and simply what we do. And yes, a lot of these people have when you've got more staff, you're able to let those relationships be nurtured, shall we say, by your salespeople. But everyone I'm working with now is all of a sudden getting a hell of a lot closer to that client base, because I've just put a document together this morning on the 6 phases of a sales strategy. And right now, once you've rationalized the cost base as much as you can, there is a 6-part process for how you sell your way out of this problem right now, right? Okay. There's a misconception, right? There isn't no business being done, right? There is business being done. Yeah. I look at my LinkedIn feed, I speak to my customers, they are still doing business. Okay. I liken this to right now, if you're a business, right? I liken it personally. Right now, do I need to go and buy clothes for the family? No. Do I need to buy food for the family? Yes. There are clients out there that have got critical needs. Yeah. Those are need to have. Yeah. They are still being recruited for. I'm seeing people make placements 100% through video, and including onboarding, which is brilliant to see. Shows how innovative and forward thinking our staff, our colleagues, and our industry is. But what they're not taking on is the BAU. Yeah, what clients aren't taking on, is what we'd like to have. They're not hiring like to have, correct? But they are hiring need to have critical projects. So you got to know where to look. But the business is still out there. But if you've been more of a farmer for the last couple of years, yeah, then you are going to struggle because you don't know how to hunt. And unfortunately, you need to be able to hunt right now for every single opportunity. But my view is there's less out there. I'm not lying. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to pretend everything's rosy. But there is still enough out there. I believe with the right sales strategy, there is enough out there to hopefully cover your cost base. And that has to be the absolute focus. People are furloughing. They're letting people go. They are being left with what I call their A team, their core. That core should be able to generate fees on a monthly basis because they should have built relationships with clients that they know well enough that will get them through this difficult period. Sean, have you got zero business going on right now?
No, of course. There's stuff.
Why not?
No, we have got business on. Yeah.
There you go. So have I.
For me, yeah, we've already changed and pivoted so far from where we were 2 weeks ago because some of the things we were doing were very luxurious. Like they were great, they were important, but they were sometimes nice to haves. And now we've had to go, what do people fundamentally critically need from us? And how do we package it up that way? And we've shifted loads. I'm building a completely new business model out in the next 3 weeks that's going to cater for people that are in the position that we're talking about, the CEO that needs to market and sell. Well, the marketing side is what we do, right? So instead of pitching that CEO and talking about how we can help them across their brand of 60 people, it's going to be like, how do we help you get yourself out to more people than you can just be on the phone to every day?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fucking crucial right now.
Exactly.
The thing is, one of my clients, they let quite a lot of people go. So they made redundancies quite quickly, which got a lot of press on LinkedIn. Then they furloughed those people when that came out. And then they've gone down to 3 people from 22. And they're now pumping out content. So we're giving them advice, but they're doing some stuff themselves. And one of the posts was where he was just sharing, the CEO shared what he's been through, how hard it was, how much shit he's had to deal with. But also the fact is, look, his operation exists. There's 3 of them. And he got 2 jobs called in by a client that watched it. And this shit works, right? But you can't just rely on that. You've also got to be on the phone doing things that always work. So you need a multi-channel strategy right now.
Sure. My view, and this is what I hopefully teach or guide people to think is, we have to focus on small wins on a daily basis. Okay, for our mental health, and for success, I focus on small wins on a daily basis. Okay, small wins doesn't, what did we used to measure? The old currency used to be how many deals are we doing in a week? Okay, that can still be the currency, but you need other currency, right? New clients spoken to on Zoom, new candidates spoken to on Zoom. We need different metrics. We need small wins now that can still make you placements, but we also need small wins now that are going to help you when this market inevitably comes back. That's what we need to focus on. You need small wins that can get you through each day, knowing that you've been successful and that you've done something useful and worthwhile that will add value to your candidates, your clients, and more importantly, yourself, in the business going forwards.
Have you seen any creative ideas or anything people are doing that's a bit differently to?
I think I'm liking the fact that IR35 was put back. Do you remember IR35? No one's spoken about IR35 for a while. Since we've had this unholy trinity of IR35, Brexit. I miss Brexit. We'll talk about Brexit again.
We love Brexit.
Yeah, and then COVID-19. But I think that I'm seeing my clients speccing in proactively, rare skills that clients normally wouldn't be able to procure right now on a contract basis, and I'm seeing results with that, but even on a perm basis as well. There are clients out there. For me, you've still got to be putting good resource in front of clients. I'm not talking about random mail shots or untargeted, calling. I'm talking about understanding value, where your client is and what is a critical need on their project, and something that they can get right now that they might not have been able to get in the market. Sean, a month ago, all we ever heard of was the war on talent.
Yeah.
Now, there is no war on talent, right? And there are clients out there that are seeing this as an opportunity to really get on board, good niche skills that they haven't had before.
Yeah.
So, but in order to do that, you have to have worked on the quality of your CRM in terms of your candidate database, your client database. It's not something that, unfortunately, you can just turn on right now. But I'm seeing some great innovation on online. People, the video calls, your Odros, Zoom, or people on Teams. I'm seeing clients come online together, sharing best practice. I think innovation. I think this has just escalated the way the market was going to go anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Now we have to survive, whereas before we didn't.
Yeah. Well,
so this has speeded up innovation.
Yeah, even this product that I'm putting together, it's all about helping CEOs with personal brand and how to market themselves. That was something I've been talking about for ages, but this is forcing me to do it, right? It gives you that kick up the arse to make things happen now. What I saw the articles and things you shared over the weekend around the different what's the word? The different scenarios that could happen. Share some of that with us. Like, what, just for anyone who didn't see it, what are the there's 4 scenarios, right? That could happen.
So 3 of them weren't the best. One of them was pretty good. I'm going with that one, by the way. That was option 3. And that's that in 3 months. We're going to go. So economically speaking, people talk about U-shaped recessions. Okay, they're your traditional recession where they're characterized by a low U shape. So that we're slow to get into recession because the definition of a recession is two consecutive quarters of negative growth. So that's a 6-month period. Normally it takes another 3 months period for the effects to be felt. So you're talking a 9-month run up, should we say, to recession. So, and then they're slow out as well. It's gradual pickup normally. So these things are characterized by a long flat period, normally lasting around 18 months. What they were talking about, because this isn't an economic issue, it's a medical issue and a social issue. They were talking about or hoping for a V-shaped recession, which is, if you think about the speed at which the market declined, it was a V. It was a super fast decline. But what they're then hoping for is, once there's a solution, we have a super fast rise back to pre-virus levels, shall we say. But the longer this goes on, the less chance there is of a V-shaped recession, and the more likelihood you get of an L-shaped recession. People don't talk about the L-shaped recession because the L-shaped recession, as you can imagine, is rapid decline and then a long flattening out. So unfortunately, I'm not a world leading economist. I'm not the good Lord. I'm a normal man in the middle of this with everyone else. And my genuine view is, we've never had government stimulus like this, Sean, in history.
No.
Right? So globally, this isn't 2008. The banks are heavily capitalized. The governments are putting together stimulus packages on a daily basis that will hopefully try and turn this around. But we don't know how long that can last and what we'll look like coming out, the other side. But my best view is I believe, if you look at China, where they are now, lockdown and hopefully through it 3.5 months the other side, that would take us to July. I would hope that business is back to a form of normality August, September. But I'm saying September, or prepare for this not to get back to normal levels until January 2021.
How are you going to, what advice would you be giving if your recruitment businesses that you're working with have shed down to 7 people, 6 people, 5 people, whatever? And again, we're hoping that if this keeps going 3, 6, 9 months, are we still confident that they can be making those placements at the level and at the fee level that they're doing today? Is it you're just going to be constantly in the position of front foot, keep looking, or is there a point where you need to cut again and think, how do we go smaller, or what can we do in terms of paying ourselves or it?
Sure, that's something that, as I said to you sort of before we when we've spoken before.
Yeah.
Macro problems, affect everyone. Yeah. But micro problems, i.e. your personal individual response to the situation, is 50% of the solution as well. Yeah. Okay. So every company is being affected by coronavirus. Some won't survive. Some will survive. Don't get me wrong. A lot of it is down to what sector are you in? What is your business mix in terms of permanent contract? Are you international? Are you global? What is your cost base? Do you have huge reserves? I don't know. Every business is different. The only USP that a business has is that it's unlike any other business, right? Yeah. So a mix of skills, reserves, market mix. So the cost base will be rationalized to a point where it can't literally go any lower. And recruitment has not disappeared. Unfortunately, organizations will cease trading, the longer this goes on. But that means that there will still be vacancies, but there's going to be a lot less people around to actually be able to fill those vacancies in the first place. My view is this is a fight, right? This is a fight. You got two choices, right? You can either roll over, and shut up shop, or you literally concentrate on what can you control on a daily basis? What is best practice, operational excellence, down and dirty, getting your hands dirty, involved in selling, right? Clients, candidates, colleagues, maximizing the good old-fashioned sales that have made so many of these organizations absolutely brilliant. That's what this is. How long that goes on for, again, that's there's going to be someone standing at the end, right?
No, I agree.
Yeah, we just got to make sure, every day, we're making sure that you're in the fight. I put out something on Friday, Sean, saying, to everyone that made it through last week, well done. Yeah. People in our industry passed away last week, right? We're still here. Yeah. We get the chance to remain in the fight. So you got to stay positive, right? You got to stay positive. There are things that we can be doing better. Yeah. And that's what I teach. I teach precision, right? Precision, not perfection. It doesn't exist. And you know what, Sean? A lot of us have been through personal shit, right? Far worse than this. Yeah. On our own. Yeah. And we got through it. This is happening to all of us, and we're all getting through it together. So I don't know. I'm very philosophical about the whole thing. It is what it is. We've got to help ourselves get through it, help as many other people as possible get through it. And we're all in it together. And I just see that as a huge leveler. So we can focus on the negatives, and bitch about it, which isn't going to help. I don't waste a minute of my day worrying about what might be. Yeah.
I like that a lot, because you can get lost in so many different scenarios. You can only control what you can control, and that's
totally that.
What I would say is, like, I've asked a lot of the same question to a lot of people on the show, and I just like hearing the different responses, right? When this is over, what's going to change in our industry? Some people believe, some organizations will go straight back to normal, others won't. What do you think is going to happen?
So a number of things. So from a business perspective, I think the whole flexible working thing, I think, has just been accelerated by a number of years. Okay. I think that when you look in a business, the largest cost, normally 60 to 70% of the cost, is people. Okay. After that, rent is pretty, a considerable chunk of the remaining 30%. Yeah, exactly. So I don't see people requiring or using, sorry, Regis and WeWork. I see companies struggling I don't see people having super offices anymore. Well, the majority won't have super offices.
You won't want a long lease either, will you? Like, you'd want that 30-day clause in it, whatever you do. I think that people will hot desk. They'll work from home a lot more. I think the environment has really changed. But I think I'm asking clients now, have focus 75% of your efforts now on surviving each week. But what do you want to look like when we come out the other end? Yeah. What markets do you want to be doing, or should you be doing? What are you learning? Yeah. From this crisis. Yeah. If you're all perm, for example, yeah, that might not be a great idea. Yeah. What markets can you do that are more resilient should we ever be in this position again? And what should your business mix look like? But the biggest change, I think, Sean, that people will see is, I deal with a lot of clients, and I see this word so many times on LinkedIn and on people's websites. We are a relationship-based business, yeah, and they're not. I love data. Okay, when I go into businesses and I look at the data, and everyone tells me that their mission, their vision is about relationships. And yet I look at the client base, and their average, they invoice 1.3 placements per client per year. And that's a pretty strong average, across many people. Wow. It's transaction. Right? Yeah. Their business model's transaction. It's transaction, right? Contingent's great. I love contingent. Yeah. But the whole point is, if you're going to talk about relationships, yeah, what people will realize going through this is, if you had true relationships, I think that you'd have enough gross profit to get through this period. And there are companies out there who I talk to, my clients, who still can bank on, each month covering, quite a lot of their cost base from the relationships that they have built. Because what you want is, if a client all of a sudden goes into lockdown and their recruitment reduces by 75, 80%, you want to make sure that you're getting that 20%. And that comes down to proper relationship strategy, lifelong value within, adding value to a client, throughout the lifelong process of that relationship, not lip service. People say they're client-led, but they're not. How can you be client-led if you've only built X amount of your client base once in the last 12 months? That's not relationship-led, that's transactional. There's no problem being transactional, but the harder the market, the better you need to be at transactional. So I think the relationships part will be the key bit. I think that people don't use their data properly. So clients will be less reliant on headcount for headcount's sake. They'll be less reliant on fixed assets like long leases. They'll be more relationship driven. They'll probably go, it's almost putting the foundations to say, if this fucker happens again, I'm going to be prepared. Yeah. I'm going to be in a better shape next time.
Yeah. Sean, if we're constantly learning, right? This is a great learning experience. Yeah. That's how you have to see this. Okay. Were some businesses or some of us, overindulgent, were we a bit flabby around the middle? Yeah. Was our industry a bit flabby around the middle? Yeah, it was. Right. And I'm not saying that this is needed, because this is a horror show. Yeah. But it is what it is. And we have to get through it. And my view is, you can either worry about it or, cry into your cornflakes about it, or accept it, concentrate on small wins and what you can control, and stick around as long as you can, so that we're still here when we get through to the other side, right? And I say that not from sat here as a multi-millionaire where I'm not bothered whether or not, when the market comes back. That is absolutely categorically not my position, but I sell for a living. That's what I do. I add value, but I sell. So I feel that I can give advice because I'm practicing what I preach. Yeah. I look after my relationships. Yeah. I concentrate on sales and precision and data. given that I find it ironic, some of my clients are data clients. They specialize in data, and yet and yet their own data. Sean, the last time anyone cleared their database was because of the threat from GDPR. Yeah. Every client record, every candidate record should be gold dust. Should be gold dust. So there's a lot we can learn, and there's a lot that we can do better to get through this and come out the other side. But we're all here, we're all in it together, and it's not going away right now. So you might as well.
I've got this sneaky suspicion that when it is over, we're all gonna be quite, in a weird way, happy it happened. Like, in a weird way, we're gonna go, that forced me to change. I've actually built a life that I prefer. Like, sometimes the growth mode that businesses go on. Well, I do the RAG podcast and we talk about the growth, but it doesn't always necessarily translate into happiness. Like, some people, sometimes headcount and revenue numbers are just, it's exciting, but it's not necessarily gonna. I mean, I've spoken to people that have said, yeah, and it cost me my marriage because I did that. And you know what I mean? It's like, why are you doing what you're doing? And sometimes I think this is the time, probably one of the most pivotal times in history, where we've all had to go, why are we doing what we're doing? Like, family matters. Like, everyone's disposable right now. We don't even know who's going to be here in 3 months. So what sort of life do I want to lead after COVID-19? Do I want to go back to that office and drill a load of graduates for the next 5 years to grow something that I don't even enjoy going to? Or do I want to get close to my relationships with my clients and enjoy every day and spend more time at home? Everyone's going to have a different opinion on it. But I really have a suspicion that we'll look back on it as a period that was shit, but good came from it. At least I'm hoping that, anyway.
Sean, I couldn't agree more. Do you know what? The art of change is you choosing to change, right? But sometimes that's a very difficult thing to do. So when something like this happens, you change because you had no choice. Yeah, and I've been through things like that in my own life, where I had a huge job in recruitment, huge ego, always in the press. Everything was about status, money. I thought that's what would make me happy, and it didn't. In fact, it nearly killed me. And I now treat every day as an absolute gift, because almost just over 2 years ago, I had worked out how I was going to take my own life.
Oh, God. So,
and I went through that alone,
I think we talked about this before, I remember.
Yeah. So I went through that alone, whereas now the worst thing that ever happened to me actually became the best thing that ever happened to me, because I can honestly say I've never been happier in my life than I am now. And I've got a lot less. And what this period, I think, is teaching us right now is, I loved it the other day when I saw, it's not the hedge fund managers now, is it? It's not the bank managers. It's not the football players, that are keeping the lights on, is it? It's the NHS, it's the delivery drivers, it's
bin men.
They're the heroes.
Yeah.
And what I do hope is that when normality returns, that we appreciate, what those people have done, and we're not quick to forget, but I think that there is fundamental, this is the fourth revolution, right? It was before this happened. The first was, industrial, the second was agricultural. Sorry, wrong way around. The third was, data and technology. And the fourth is mental and spiritual. And I think this will help. This will make people think about what kind of life they want to have. And that can't be a bad thing.
No.
That can't be a bad thing.
No, I agree. Sid, I think time's up, mate. But look, I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much for taking.
Appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
I think, look, there's no doubt people will get a lot of value, and will connect with your honesty and your transparency and your practical advice. I always ask if any of my listeners reach out directly, you might not know them, but they want to have a chat. Are you open for that? Anyone? Bit of advice?
Totally. Totally. I want to help as many people as I can. Yeah. And that's not always possible, but my contact detail. Contact me on LinkedIn. If I can help, I will help. That's fact. That's a given.
Wicked. Well, look, thank you so much. Look, the longer this goes, likelihood is we'll call you back in and we'll have another chat and see how.
My pleasure. In
a few months, yeah.
Stay safe, my friend. Stay safe.
Thank you. And look, everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in again. Every single one of you listening, I do appreciate your attention, and I really do hope you're getting the value from it. I'm getting so many messages on a day-to-day basis, so thank you for that.
You're doing a great job, Sean.
Thank you, mate. Well,
Thank you.
I don't ask for any money to listen to this. I do ask for one thing, and that's that you share this podcast, right? You put it out there to your friends, to your colleagues, to your bosses, to your competitors, to say, look, listen to other people's stories. Together, we're going to get through this. And all we want is to make sure that there's many recruitment owners and consultants make it through to the other side, and that's what this show's all about. So please do share it.
Correct. Correct.
I'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.